Welcome back, everybody. This week we're going to be talking about the programming and features of the FOB Educator by E-Collar Technologies. But before we get into this, make sure to give us a like and subscribe. Leave comments and questions below. We'll make sure to get back to you. All right, let's take a look at the FOB Educator. The first thing that probably jumps out at the screen at you is this is a very small unit. Matter of fact, it is the smallest remote and receiver in the Educator lineup. Highly discreet. A lot of times individuals that travel, they don't want to be bothered by cumbersome remote. This thing works very effectively for that. It has a range of 300 yards. So it's, suitable for most yards or park settings where long range isn't critical, and it's expandable to 2 dogs. So the first thing I want to break down is just the basic on-off functioning of the system, and we'll do a little quick rundown. You will notice this is not a collar provided by Mini Educator. I actually buy a bungee collar from a friend of mine that has a top-notch canine equipment, but every client that purchases an e-collar from me, I go ahead and throw in the bungee collar because it is all about convenience. Quick on, quick off. We'll start by looking at the collar itself. You'll notice a couple things on the back, the charging port, and then the on-off button. So unlike the Mini Educator, this one has an actual on-off button. We'll turn this on. If you're looking at it and you see a flashing green light, then it is ready to go. Charge is great. If we see a amber light, obviously it's time to charge your e-collar at that point. And if it's flashing red, then the battery is getting low. Of course, if we hit the remote and see a red constant, then we are actually stemming at that time. So let's take a look at just the buttons here on the FOB Educator. You'll notice there's just 2 stimulation buttons in the middle. On the left-hand side is a L and an R. On the right-hand side is the power button, positive, negative, and a P on the back. That is our programming button. We'll start with the light, just as with other Educator collars. We tap it once, and you'll see a strobe light. Tap it twice, we get a constant light. Over here to the right, the bottom is our on-off switch. Hold it in, it will turn the remote off and on. And then you'll notice that the positive and negative actually adjusts the level of stimulation. So we're going to get into programming this remote and how I personally like to have it set up, but we'll cover how to set it up to be more customizable to you. All right, so we're going to take a look at the actual features and programming of this remote. If you will notice the display, you will see this flashing 1D. That is telling you that this is currently set up in the 1-dog format. This is capable of running 2 dogs. However, it's not programmed that way at this time. There is a 1. We're going to go ahead and turn that down to 0. And on the back of this remote, you'll notice the P. If we hold this in, you'll see it flash through P1, P2, P3. So we're going to keep holding it in so you can see it cycle through those. And now we're going to break down what the functions and programming is within each setting. All right, so we're going to take a look at the programming options for this remote. If you notice on the back, there's the button that's marked P. So when we look at the main screen over on the right hand side, we are going to adjust the display down to 0, hold in the P button till we see P1. Now you'll see 50 flashing. This is the level as far as the maximum output of stimulation. So the P1 feature allows us to adjust to what level we want our rising stem to max out at. This e-collar, the stimulations run 1 to 100. So let me go ahead and hold this back in. I'm going to make a little adjustment here. We are going to turn this down to 40 for this particular client. It's just a preference for this dog. I feel like we really shouldn't have a need to go over 40. If so, then you didn't teach e-collar correctly. So at least with this dog. Now there are other dogs out there, I can't say that, but for this individual dog, we're going to set this at 40. We'll hold that in. We'll put this on 1. Obviously, there's the stem on one, and then when we apply rising stem, it will max out at 40. So that is the first programming feature, or P1. All right, so the remaining two programming features, P2, P3, are the programming functions for the two buttons in the middle. P2 is going to be the black button, while P3 is going to affect the red button. If we look at how this is set up right now, I'll just go ahead and place the collar on the desk. We will hit the top button. It is set up for tone only. If we hit the bottom button, you'll see the rising stem, and it takes it all the way up to 40. So I'm going to adjust this down to 0, hold this in. Oops, already messed up, and that's okay. We'll just hold it back in. P1, P2. Right now it's set on tone. We tap it again, you'll see low and a V. That's low vibrate. Tap it again, high and a V, high vibrate. Tap it again, that's stem. If you see ST plus, that's rising stem. So I'm going to take this over to stem, and then that is programmed. So we will hold this in one more time, cycle through here, and take a look at P3. So if you see now, it is P3 is set up as rising stem, and that's how I want this set up. So I like to, just like with the mini educators, I like to think of red as stop or my emergency button. So my working level, my stimulation will be on black, and hey, it's life or death, I need to save the dog. That's where I'm going to use my rising stem. So that is the P1 through 3 features, which affect the programming. We adjust the positive and negative on the side to the levels that we want. Of course, that's your on-off switch. And then over here we have our L and R and the charging port. L is the light, as we discussed earlier, but let's take a little bit of time and discuss what this R button is. So let's talk about the last feature or last button on this remote, and that is the R. Well, that is the controls or the speed in which your rising stem will hit the maximum program number. So right now I have it sit on, I believe, 0. So if I hit the rising stem, you'll immediately notice that it goes to the maximum output. If we hold the R in, R0. R5 means it will take 5 seconds to go from whatever we are working on. Currently, I think we're working around a 4 or 5, so it will take 4. If we're working on 4 or 5, it will take 5 seconds to reach the maximum stimulation level. And obviously, with numbers being numbers, we'll go over here. R2, 2 seconds. 5 seconds. 0's immediate jump. So we'll just show you what 5 looks like. Very reminiscent of a 1980s digital speedometer. So it gives us a little bit of time. R2. So we'll just show you a few, so you can see how quickly it actually will hit that maximum programmed stimulation level. So once again, for this dog, I'm going to set this at a 5. I like for the client to be in a little bit more control. I use this more, like I said, as an emergency button. If I'm going to hold it in, I don't want it to immediately max out. I want, once the behavior ceases, then my finger can come off the button. So let's say the dog is chasing a car. We say come, the dog doesn't do it. We tap the black button. Nothing, because the dog's in elevated drive state. We can hold in the red button till the behavior ceases and the dog starts offering the behavior we want. So it's come, dog doesn't do it, 1001, hold it in. As soon as the dog turns around, our finger comes off of this and we're not making an immediate jump. There's a million and one ways to use the E-Collar humanely, so I am setting it up in what I am most comfortable with. You may be more comfortable handling it in a different manner, but I'm going to go in here and program this to a 5. So, if we take a look at how I have the E-Collar set up right now for my client-specific dog. I went to a friend's website and purchased a bungee collar just for ease of use, quick on, quick off, comfort. I'll put the links to this product in the description below. This came from Top Notch Canine Equipment. But let's just take a look. We'll run through the features one more time. Obviously, L is the light. Tap it once, flash. Tap it 2, solid. Tap it the 3rd time, it is off. R, just the rise and stem, or how fast it will reach the maximum program stimulation. Positive, negative, addition, subtraction, however you want to call it, the plus and minus sign. That adjusts the current working level, and that's the on-off switch. That's your program button. So pretty simple product. You'll see that we have this just simply set to use as a standard continuous, and then we have rise and stem program to max out at 40. So real simple, nice discreet collar. You know, I recommend this for a lot of folks. I've got a friend of mine that has 2 standard poodles. He loves this. He travels with them all over the country. This allows him to have off-leash freedom and that what if button. So if you have any questions, please sure to put them in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We will see you next week.